Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Seiko 5 SRPD51K2, also known as the 5KX. This watch is available from creationwatches.com for €162. However, it's currently out of stock, so as an alternative you can purchase the watch from amazon.co.uk for €203. So firstly, let's look at the box that the watch comes in, and then I'll talk you through the other items one gets with a piece. The Seiko 5 comes in a watch box which is protected by this white cardboard outer box, so one removes the watch box from the outer box, and this is the cardboard watch box itself, finished to a good standard. One removes the lid and the watch sits on a padded pillow cushion in the base as one would expect. So although basic, it does suffice in protecting the watch in shipping, and I think it's perfectly acceptable to use this style of cardboard watch box, bearing in mind it's a low tier price point piece at only €162. With the watch, one also gets this comprehensive owner's instruction manual. The manual is thick, as you can see, because it's translated into multiple foreign languages. It details the operation of the movement use, which is the caliber 4R36 automatic, clear concise diagrams and also clear concise instructions. One also gets this international guarantee booklet, and it details the terms and conditions of the 12-month international guarantee. And in the last page we have the certificate of guarantee card, as you can see. Now, as creationwatches.com are a Seiko authorised dealer, it's stamped and dated with the authorised dealer stamp, and the benefit of this is one doesn't need to return it to Singapore, to Creation Watches, in the event of a warranty claim. One can return the watch or present the watch at any Seiko authorised dealer worldwide with a guarantee card and the watch, and they will carry out the warranty repair during the 12 months, and that's a benefit. So lastly, one also gets this tag, as you can see, and on the reverse it has the full reference number of the 5KX, which is the SRPD51K2. The K2 in the reference number denotes that this is the NATO strap version. K1 in the reference number would denote that this is the bracelet version. I've previously reviewed the black dial version 5KX, which was the bracelet version. So with regards to the specifications of the piece, this is the Seiko 5 SRPD51K2, also known as the 5KX. We have a 42.5mm case diameter. We have a 46mm lug-to-lug measurement. We have a thickness of 13.6mm and a lug width of 22mm. The navy blue nylon NATO strap is straight and parallel, it doesn't taper, it's 22mm at the lugs and 22mm at the signed buckle and tang, as you can see. The stainless steel buckle and tang is signed to a high standard with Seiko. Nice heavy gauge of metal, brushed satin finish, finished to a good standard, and we also have solid 316L grade stainless steel brushed satin finish keepers. The keepers are stitched either side on the top side and underside to a good standard, so that means the keepers don't slide out of position. Now, one thing I like about this 5KX is, unlike the SKX, it uses a screw-down exhibition case back. The SKX 007 and 009 respectively use solid stainless steel screw-down case backs, and I like the exhibition case back. It does a good job of displaying the caliber 4R36, but it's also more comfortable because of its flat profile to the flat mineral crystal, as you can see. Mirror polishing to the stainless steel portion of the exhibition case back is done to a flawless standard. Now, the negative of the exhibition case back is it only provides an effective hermetic seal to 100 meters. The SKX had a solid stainless steel case back which provided 200 meters, and that formed part of the ISO certification of it being a credible 200 meter dive watch. So only 100 meters of water resistance from the exhibition case back, but I actually find it to be more comfortable when wearing this piece on a rubber strap or a bracelet. The thing I disliked about the SKX 007 and 009, I've owned both of those pieces, is the embossed wave of Hiragawa on the stainless steel case back feels like it digs into the wrist. It doesn't feel comfortable, it's not as smooth. With this flat mineral crystal in the exhibition case back of the 5KX, it's more low profile and it feels smoother against the wrist, so therefore it enhances the comfort when wearing the piece for long periods of time, such as 8 to 12 hours per day. So I prefer the exhibition case back, despite it only having 100 meters of water resistance versus the 200 meters of the the SKX. So with regards to the rest of the specification, we have an aluminium bezel insert, and it's anodized in blue to a high standard. Now the negative is there is no lume pip in the silver triangle at 12 o'clock. This is something that the SKX had, and it's a clear cost-cutting measure by Seiko, and it's very disappointing. The production cost is negligible of adding a Lume Bright lume pip to an aluminium bezel insert for Seiko, because they're mass producing these pieces in incredibly high quantities. So it's a clear cost-cutting measure, and I really would like to see them use the SKX bezel insert, which was better because it had a Lume Bright lume pip. Hardlex crystal. Now, personally, I would prefer to see a sapphire crystal at this price point. The negative of Hardlex is it's not as scratch resistant as sapphire crystal, and the other negative is there is no AR coating on the underside. And if I tilt the piece at an oblique angle, you can see the Hardlex is a very highly reflective crystal, and it's not as good as clear AR coating on the underside of a flat sapphire crystal. However, the benefit of this having the same dimensions as the SKX is there are a plethora of double dome sapphire crystals and flat sapphire crystals one can purchase to modify this piece, and an SKX sapphire crystal will fit the 5KX. They're exactly the same dimensions. In terms of the interchangeability of other parts, the bezel is the same as an SKX bezel, and also the bezel insert. They're all interchangeable. The only thing to note is if you're going to be fitting SKX bracelets to this piece, there is something you need to know. The spring bars are different dimensions, they're different diameters. The SKX and the 5KX have different diameter holes in the lugs of the case, and therefore you will need to use the specific spring bars for the 5KX or the SKX. If, for example, you're going to be fitting a strap code bracelet such as the Super O Boya or Super O Jubilee bracelet, so which they call the Super J Louis. So that's something to note. You're going to need to use the 5KX spring bars to fit an SKX bracelet, but they are interchangeable. They're the same 22mm lug width. Now the other thing to note is on the 5KX, it has a push-pull crown, so the screw-down crown from the SKX is not interchangeable, and the winding stem is different. So let's test the bezel action. 120 click unidirectional bezel, as one would expect. It feels exactly the same as on an SKX and the Seiko Turtle. I like the characteristic firm resistance of Seiko bezel actions. Firm resistance like a Steinhardt Ocean 139, which you might be familiar with. Really good tight firm resistance to it. No lateral side-to-side play whatsoever. No back play whatsoever. This is the perfect bezel execution. It feels even all the way through the 360 degrees of rotation, and I really like it. Seiko bezel actions are something I really like about their watches. I'm just going to check the alignment. Perfect. Now the Seiko SKX series and also the 5KX were known for two QC issues, and the quality control issues were bezel insert misalignment and also chaptering misalignment. This was also a QC problem for the Seiko Turtle series, such as the SRP series. Now, I'm pleased to report that the QC on this 5KX is very good. It doesn't have chaptering misalignment, and it doesn't have bezel insert misalignment. The bezel insert triangle, the chaptering and the index on the dial all align correctly at 12 o'clock. Perfect alignment throughout. So the QC of this 5KX is definitely better than on the Seiko Turtle SRP series and the SKX, which is now discontinued. So bezel action is excellent. No lateral side-to-side play, no back play, perfect alignment. So with regards to the crown execution, solid 316L grade stainless steel. We can see the lathe tool machining to the cap. It's unsigned. Coinage finishing is done to a high standard. Visually it looks exactly the same as an SKX crown, but as I've discussed, it's not a screw down crown. The benefit is in the closed position, because it's a push-pull crown, one can manually wind it. Now the SKX didn't have manual winding, so that's an advantage this 5KX has with the caliber 4R36, because that does have hand winding and hacking. The 7S26 used in the SKX didn't have hand winding and hacking, which were major negatives. So feels silky smooth, nice firm resistance to it because we can feel the friction of the O-rings. It has one O-ring inside the crown and one O-ring inside the stainless steel crown tube, which provide an effective hermetic seal to 100 meters. Pulling it out to the first click is the day-date complication. So just bear with me and I'll get it, because that was the time setting position. I'll pull it out again. Right. So we're now in the day-date complication setting position. Rotating the crown clockwise advances the day complication. As you can see, it's bilingual. A nice quick set clicking, one can feel the indexing of it. Rotating the crown anti-clockwise is the date complication, and that's also got a quick set. One can feel the indexing, it's got a nice positive click. So the action of the quick set day-date complication is very good. It's an absolute pleasure to set the day and date. Pulling the crown out to the second click position is the time setting position, and one can hack the movement. And as I've discussed, this is an advantage of the 4R36 over the 7S26. We can hack the movement to set the time precisely to the second. Pushing it back in's got a nice positive click, and that restarts the movement. So the crown execution is excellent. Although it is a push-pull crown, I would personally prefer to see a screw-down crown as per the SKX, because that would upgrade the water resistance rating from 100 meters to 200 meters respectively. Right, so I'll give you a wrist shot, and you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. Now just bear with me because the nylon NATO strap is stiff because it's new. There we are. And I've put the watch on upside down. So this is my review where I don't edit out mistakes, and therefore in my reviews, 257 of them, there are a plethora of verbal and visual mistakes. And I leave the mistakes in, I don't edit them out. Right, so I've got the watch the right way up this time. Now, I'm pleased to report on a positive note. This NATO strap has plenty of length on it, so it will fit even up to my 8-inch wrist. And as you'll know from my previous reviews, I'm often critical of watch brands because the straps and the bracelets are often a fraction too short. But there's plenty of length. As you can see, I can engage the end of the strap in both keepers. It fits my 8-inch wrist, which is a pleasant surprise. So, with regards to the comfort level, 10 out of 10. Sublime comfort level, it feels exactly the same as an SKX 007 due to the same proportions, 42.5mm head of the piece, 46mm lug-to-lug measurement. So if you're a collector with a smaller wrist of 6 to 7 inches, the 46mm lug-to-lug measurement will fit you to perfection. Nice curved undercut to the case. It's surprisingly low profile due to the flat aluminium bezel insert and flat hardlex crystal. It's only 13.6mm, and therefore one can wear it on a double pass NATO strap and it still is low profile. It's still easily going to slip underneath a shirt cuff. So very aesthetically pleasing piece. I absolutely love the silver applied indices and the navy blue sunburst dial. Just absolutely gorgeous to look at. It's just a very good looking piece. Very similar to the SKX 007 in terms of the aesthetics. And they've made the correct decision by keeping the proportions the same as the SKX with a 22mm lug width. Now, on the NATO strap, this is incredibly comfortable. It's only 96 grams and therefore significantly lighter than on the bracelet. So that's something to bear in mind. If you're a collector with a smaller wrist, you may want to wear this on a rubber strap or a NATO strap versus the bracelet, because on the bracelet it's circa 150 grams with all the links in the bracelet. But on the NATO strap, it is only 95 grams. So it feels very well balanced, very comfortable. Feel good factor is good. Comfort level is also good. And also, although it's initially stiff, the nylon NATO strap will break in and become soft and supple. Right, so let's do a Lume test and we'll see how the Lume performs when it's charged up to the absolute maximum. So as always, I'm going to use my 100 UV LED torch to charge it up to the absolute peak. Right, so that's now fully charged, and as you can see, it has not disappointed. This is 10 out of 10 top grade Lume. As you can see, the Luma Bright really is the very best of Luminova. It's very similar in terms of its green tone to C3 Super Luminova, and I regard it as equal in quality to Rolex Chromolite or Swiss BGW9 Super Luminova. It's also equal in quality to C3 Super Luminova. Seiko Luma Bright is one of my favourite aspects of Seiko watches, and what I like about this 5KX is it uses the same quality of Luma Bright as on their Prospect series, the more expensive watches such as the Sumo, for example. So I like that they haven't cut any corners, because this is a Seiko 5. It's one of their low-tier pieces, not one of their mid-tier pieces. And as you can see, on the hands it's clearly legible because it uses the classic SKX shape hands. We've also got a Lume pip on the counterbalance of the second hand, and the dial layout is excellent, the orientation is good, and the large triangle at 12 o'clock means one can clearly orientate the dial. The addition of the day-date complication means we have an absence index at the 3 o'clock position, but that's acceptable because the symmetry of the dial is still very good. And I like it. It's one of my favourite dial layouts. I like the Submariner dial layout and I also like the SKX dial layout. I think they're both very good. So as you can see, the Lume is continuing to glow and it will continue to glow very brightly for a long length of time. So top grade quality Lume Bright. Right, so let's discuss the movement used because it's one of my favourite aspects of the piece. So as I've discussed, the SKX 007 and 009 respectively used the 7S26, which was a reliable, well-proven workhorse movement used from 1996. But the problem with the 7S26 is that it didn't have hand winding and hacking, so that was they were major negatives. Now, the 4R36 is a higher grade of movement. It's used in the Seiko Turtle SRP series, and it does have hand winding and hacking. The 4R36 is the same as the NH36, and it's just the Seiko branded version of the NH36. So it's been in use since 2011. So at this stage in 2022, it's been in production for 11 years, and therefore it's reliable, well-proven workhorse movement. It has 24 joules, and it runs at 21,600 vibrations per hour and a frequency of 3 Hz. 40-hour power reserve is perfectly acceptable. Hand winding and hacking are useful benefits. And the stated accuracy of the 4R36 is -35 to +45 seconds per day. So a rather wide accuracy range. Now, although it's stated as -35 to +45, often they're regulated to far better than that, for example, plus or minus 10 seconds per day. This one has been very well regulated and it's running consistently at +6 seconds per day, which is very good for a 4R36. And bear in mind that this is a low tier price point piece at €162. To get +6 seconds per day is perfectly acceptable. And I like the fact the 4R36 is a reliable, well-proven workhorse automatic movement, and it's been in use for 11 years. So it's a better movement than the 7S26, and it's something I really like about the 5KX versus the SKX 007 and 009, which I've previously owned. The 4R36 is definitely a better movement. Having hand winding and hacking really is more practical. So lastly, I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch should meet 2 criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price point. So the price of this watch is €162. Really, to evaluate is this excellent quality and excellent value, one has to consider the quality control and also the finishing of the piece. The finishing to the head of the piece, in terms of the brush satin finishing and the mirror polishing to the flanks, is absolutely flawless. This is the kind of finishing Seiko does on their more expensive Pro Specs pieces, and I think that they deserve full credit because they haven't cut any corners with regards to the finishing of this 5KX. The finishing is every bit as good as the SKX, and also the Seiko Turtle, the Seiko Sumo, the Seiko Tuna, etc. So the quality of the finishing to the head of the piece is flawless. The crown is very well finished, the bezel is well finished, and also the screw-down exhibition case back. The other thing I'm really pleased to see about this piece is the quality control, because as I've detailed, bezel insert misalignment and chaptering misalignment are common Seiko problems, from the Seiko 5 series up to the Pro Spec series. This gets it correct. The bezel alignment is correct. The chaptering alignment is correct. So there are no QC issues. The bezel action is excellent. The crown execution is excellent. Really, the only negatives to this piece are the use of hardlex and the lack of a lume pip, and also the push-pull crown. The SKX had a lume pip and it had a screw-down crown, which was better specification, but it still used hardlex. So these are the negatives I want you to consider. But having said that, there are a plethora of bezels, bezel inserts and crystals that one can use to modify this piece. So it is the perfect base if you like watch modding. For example, you can upgrade it to a ceramic bezel insert, and you can upgrade the crystal to a sapphire crystal. And that therefore corrects the shortcomings with regards to specification. The only thing you can't correct with this is you can't interchange the screw-down crown for the push-pull crown. The SKX screw-down crown and crown tube aren't interchangeable. They can't be fitted to this case. So, yes, I consider it to be excellent quality, and yes, I consider it to be excellent value at €162. I absolutely love the piece, and I really think it's worth buying just for the 4R36 movement, which is used in the Seiko Turtle. So I'm going to declare it a champagne watch for lemonade money. I'm going to highly recommend it to you for your consideration. I hope you've enjoyed my review of this Seiko 5 SRPD51K2 5KX. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you very much.